Hello again, Unificationists. How are you doing? Here we come again with this super important message. The former video was about the introduction of this message. This video will be about the last Messiah. We are going to solve questions like, is True Father the last Messiah? If not, who is the last? Will it be a descendant of True Father? So let's find out. But before we start, don't forget the 7 conditions I mentioned in the introductory video from the previous workshop, the final showdown between Satan and God. Below is a link. The last Messiah. Is True Father the last Messiah? True Father, quote, "The man who has this important mission should be greater than Adam and should accomplish the standard in place of Jesus. The woman who is related to this man should go beyond Eve and be accepted as the new spouse of Jesus. The mission of the Unification Church is to give birth to such a man and such a woman." You can find this in the book of God's Will in the World, chapter 1, Introduction. When True Father mentioned about Jesus and his wife, surely everyone assumed that he was talking about himself and True Mother. But the Unification Church was founded by True Father. He gave birth to Unification Church. Therefore, the Unification Church cannot give birth to True Father and True Mother. So it becomes clear that True Father was talking about a new couple of Messiah. True Father, you can be the citizens of the kingdom of heaven if you meet the coming Messiah. He is your hope, my hope, and the only hope of America and this world. You can find this in the same book, God's Will in the World, chapter 17, God's Purpose Fulfilled. Father said, if you meet the coming Messiah, means if we meet the next Messiah. Then he said, he is your hope, means True Father was speaking in the third person singular, not the first. Then he said, my hope, would not make sense if True Father was talking about himself. And that means he is waiting for us to accept the new Messiah. And then he said, and the only hope of America and this world. That means that finally the kingdom of heaven will be established in this world with the new Messiah. True Father, quote, when the new Lord comes and establishes the realm of true parents, they can become one. Close quote. Father said that in a hondoke from September 9th, 1999. The new Lord, that means is that is the new Messiah. Period. True Father, quote, teacher is watching you with hope that soon a person of character and stature similar to his will come. You must know this. If God could give blessings to Reverend Moon, God giving such a person would be the biggest gift. Until today, God has been betrayed and tortured. If a person appears who loves God more than the teacher does and works harder than the teacher to liberate humankind, that would be the glorious day. Father said that in the Blessing and Ideal Family, chapter 3, part 2, 3, section 3. When Father said teacher, that means True Father. When he said that soon a person of character and stature similar to his will come, that means someone else with similar stature, means a spiritual level, will come in the future. When he said you must know this, if God could give blessings to Reverend Moon, God giving such a person would be the biggest gift. Close quote. Obviously, the biggest gift is the new Messiah. Open quote. If a person appears who loves God more than the teacher does and works harder than the teacher to liberate humankind, that will be the glorious day. Close quote. No one can love God and humankind more than the Messiah does, unless he is another Messiah. True Father. Open quote. Since the first Adam, second Adam, and even the third pattern fail, by indemnifying and liberating all these through wilderness course, the age of the blessing of the domain of the fourth Adam can become the age of emergence of the kingdom of heaven on earth. All this must conform to logic. It cannot be done haphazardly. When this is evaluated from the resultant based standard of the spiritual and physical worlds, the right hand must fit exactly with the left hand. Only then will clapping make a sound, won't it? Absolute love is what brings this together. You can find this in the Chanson Guion, Book 6, Chapter 3, Section 3, 3.1. And I read again the main part. Since the first Adam, Adam from Genesis, second Adam, Jesus Christ, and even the third pattern, true Father, fail, but in the final liberating all these through the wilderness course, the age of the blessing of the domain of the fourth Adam, the new Messiah, can become the age of emergence of the kingdom of heaven on earth. But what was the failure? If, open quote, the age of the blessing of the domain of the fourth Adam can become the age of emergence of the kingdom of heaven on earth. Close quote. That means that the other ages of the other Adams fail in establishing the kingdom of heaven. On God's Day, 2001, True Father was asking, could I fulfill God's will? Then he answered, Jesus couldn't fulfill, and also Reverend Moon could not fulfill God's will. Another quote, True Father, open quote, also Jesus couldn't accomplish the settlement of God's will. Also the Lord of the Second Advent could not accomplish. Father said that in Family, 2002, February, Family magazine, right? Let's continue. I don't have to give any explanation in front of these two statements from True Father. They are direct and literal. True Father, quote, what does the Lord of the Second Advent has to do? For the Lord of the Second Advent, the responsibility has remained to accomplish what the first, second, and third Adam has failed. Father said in the Family, 1997 September, Family magazine. Same magazine. We know that True Father is the second coming of Jesus Christ, but he is also the third Adam. Therefore, he wasn't referring to himself as Jesus Christ's second coming, but to the upcoming Messiah as his second coming. Actually, every time True Father mentions in his words about the Lord of the Second Advent that he is going to do something in the future, True Father is referring to this new Messiah and not to himself. Let's continue. True Father, open quote, now that you've raised both of your hands happily and pledge that you do so, tell me what you will do in the presence of the coming Messiah. Will you become one with him? Since you've raised both of your hands and pledge, I become a person who no longer has any use, and such a person should disappear, so I will bid you farewell. Do I deserve your applause? Thank you. Father say that in Blessed Family, volume 18, page 68. No interpretation is needed here. It is clear that another Messiah is coming, and True Father was saying goodbye to us. Until 2005, True Father explained that God is vertical true parent, and he is horizontal true parent. But at the Hanukkah after the peace message in Denmark, True Father suddenly changed. He said Reverend Moon came as the vertical true parent. There are two sets of true parents, the vertical true parent and the horizontal true parent. Obviously, if True Father represents the vertical true parent, the new Messiah and his wife will represent the horizontal true parents. True Father, it is an amazing fact that this place at the very end, after Jesus was unable to restore and engraft 120 nations to the heavenly kingdom, and after the returning Lord, 2,000 years later was unable to bring in the settlement age. Father said that in September 2, 2005. Jesus and True Father were unable to bring in the settlement age, but True Father proclaimed the settlement age. Then who is bringing it? The new Messiah. True Father, quote, When we realize that all this is because a true person could not be established, we must establish truth and find a true person. And after finding him, we must become completely one with him. Fathers say that in the Complete Testament Age and the Ideal Kingdom, Book 4, Part 4, Fourth Prayer. True person, that's the Messiah. Period. True Father, quote, the people of Israel were waiting for 4,000 years to meet the Messiah. Exactly this Messiah is now coming into your tribe. What does this mean? You should indemnify the realms of Judaism and Christianity, who have worked sincerely for thousands of years to meet the Messiah. For which mission was Israel chosen? Israel was chosen to receive the Messiah. Fathers say that in February 11, 1990. And I read again the main part. For which mission was Israel chosen? Israel was chosen to receive the Messiah. True Father, quote, if you want to become citizens of the third Israel connected to the Unification Church, you must receive the blessing. In the past, at the time of Abraham, one had to be circumcised to become a citizen of Israel. And in the time of Jesus, one had to be baptized. It is the same today. In the Unification Church, one cannot become a citizen of the third Israel without receiving the blessing. However, in receiving the blessing, one must fulfill certain conditions that are neither simple nor easy. I continuously exerted myself and devoted my whole life in fulfilling the necessary foundations of these lessons. Fathers say that, you can find that in the Chonsongyeon, Book 9, Chapter 2, Section 1, 1.1. And I read again the main part. If you want, quote, if you want to become citizens of the third Israel connected to the Unification Church, you must receive the blessing. Now, if the mission of Israel is to receive the Messiah, and the Unification Church is the third Israel, the mission of the Unification Church is to receive the new Messiah. True Father, quote, that is why everything can be achieved in the name of the coming true parents. And through them, you should be able to pass on true love, true life, and true bloodline. Father said that in January 19, 2005. When Father said the coming true parents, it means the next Messiah and his wife. And then he said, and through them, that means them means third person plural. So they're others and not the current true parents. True Father, open quote, my era is now coming to an end. It is you who have to do this. If you expect support from me, you will find that things have changed. The bodily parents must become one century on the heavenly parent. With him taking the lead, you need to do it. The present era is very different from the previous one, in that God is working with me to accomplish what I have been unable to do. Close quote. Fathers say that in May 5th, 2004. True Father's era was ending at that time when he said it now definitely because he no longer has a physical body, and with the new bodily parents, means the new Messiah and his wife on earth, we shall do it. True Father, open quote, the name Reverend Moon should be raised next. Next are the true parents. Close quote. He said that in May 5th, 2004. Same speech, I think so. Yes. True Father, quote, what are the true parents? Do they wish all true parents or young true parents? We wish young true parents. The audience answered. We wish young true parents. True Father is then asking True Mother, and then she said, why are you asking me? Of course, young true parents. Are you then going to kick away the old true parents? Or are you going to take them with you? We are going to take them with us. The audience answered. If I remain in my old ages, of grandfather and I go to the spiritual world, wouldn't it be a real problem? Gratefully, in the spiritual world, we can be in the age we wish to be. For example, if you enter a spiritual world, there is a way where you can go with the age you wish. For example, could become the ancestors of the youth. Therefore, is there a possibility that kind of two parents can become the king of youth, or is that not possible? And the audience answer, possible. You can find this in the Family 2003, pages from 28 to 29, a speech about sheep and goats. And we continue. We already know that when True Father referred to the spiritual world, he was referring specifically to the religious world. We also realize that True Father was talking about two different pairs of true parents, old and young. And True Father actually went to the spiritual world. And we all know from principle that to save humanity from the spiritual world, it is only possible through resurrection by return. That is why he said, gratefully in the spiritual world, we can be in the age we wish to be. For example, if you enter a spiritual world, there is a way where you can go with the age you wish, for example, could become the ancestors of the youth. Close quote. So, yeah. So let's continue. True Father, quote, a new parent nation, a father nation, and a mother nation will become the borderline, close quote. April 28, 2004. He said that. Okay, let's continue. Nation was often used by True Father to describe a perfect person. The new father nation and mother nation are the new true parents. They are the borderline between good and evil. Through them, we can change from Satan's side to God's side. 2 paragraphs later, the same speech, Father said, open quote, we have entered a new age with the coming of Adam. The time has passed in which God could take responsibility for everything, close quote. When Father said the coming of Adam, that means the next Messiah. When Father said God, that means him, True Father. True Father said Moon is in God's position. He said that in Honduke, in Slovenia, after his peace message in 2005. 1 paragraph later, he said, quote, open quote, in 2013 we will enter a realm and time like that of Adam's in an ideal world that was meant to be at the time of creation, close quote. When he said in 2013, that would be impossible with True Father because in that year he was already in the spiritual world. Open quote. We will enter a realm and time like that of Adam's. That will be thus equals like we will enter a realm and time like that of Messiah's. That will be the same. True Father. Open quote. So far, God has only been able to engage in guerrilla warfare against Satan, not total war. However, God has been preparing for one great day, a heavenly D-Day, like the D-Day of Normandy landing. When God can launch an all-out offensive, that day is the day of the return of Christ. That the day of God is at hand. The Bible is the record of God's patient preparation leading mankind into that final battle. The fulfillment of the Bible is the coming of the Lord, the return of Christ for that D-Day. Close quote. Father say that in God's will, you can find that in God's will on the world, chapter 17, Where Are You, My David? When he said D-Day, that's the foundation date, January 13, 2013. When he said the return of Christ, that means Christ means Messiah in Greek language. The return that will be the return of Messiah. I have a question for you. Do you think True Father didn't know he was going to pass away before D-Day? Let's find out. True Father, Kukjanin, omission. Hyunjin, omission. They have many siblings who are already in the spirit world. My sons and daughters have gone. I should go there now and gather them. I have sent more than a third of my children to the spirit world. Father said, you can find this in the realm of resonance between heaven and earth, and True Parents Holy Wedding from September 1 to September 4, 2011. When he said, I should go there now and gather them, that means True Father was referring to his children who were in the spiritual world. And True Father gave this speech from September 1 to September 4, 2011, the solar calendar, and True Father died on September 3, 2012, also the solar calendar. That means True Father said exactly 1 year before he passed away. So I ask you again, do you think he didn't know? Now you may wonder why the new Messiah didn't manifest on D-Day. Well, part of the answer is in the previous workshop, the final showdown between Satan and God, and you can find the link below. But I'll give you a better answer in this workshop later. Okay, we can stop here and then we can continue in the next video.